Jerry Reinsdorf reportedly is willing to sell the Chicago White Sox. Who he might sell the team to could mean a move to Nashville. Let's discuss the report and the speculation next on Locked On White Sox.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm your host, Todd Welter, a lifelong Sox fan and the site expert of SouthsideShowdown.com, part of the Fansided Network. And also, I've covered Major League Baseball for outlets such as the Associated Press. And thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure to hit the like button on today's episode. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox if you've not done so already. And also follow or subscribe to the show at wherever you get your podcasts. Well, the Athletics' Britt Ghiroli reports that Jerry Reinsdorf is willing to sell the team, and I want to discuss this in the first segment, along with the potential buyer not being someone you want to purchase the Sox for a few reasons. It also includes possibly relocating the team. Then let's discuss two additional drawbacks to this report in the second segment. And finally, the Athletics' John Greenberg has a great piece listing out why it will not just be one bidder as being reported in the process. And this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to win $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, so Britt Ghiroli reports Jerry Reinsdorf is in talks with former Oakland A's and Diamondbacks general manager Dave Stewart to buy the team. Immediately, that is causing speculation that Stewart will buy the team and relocate it to Nashville or even Oakland. White Sox fans, we can't have nice things. You know, we finally get that Jerry's going to sell the team, and then it's going to be to the one guy who might actually move the team out of Chicago. And this isn't the first time there's been a threat of the White Sox leaving Chicago. But if Stewart buys the team, he has been tied to, these Nashville ownership groups. He's also been tied to potentially moving the team to Oakland that I want to discuss in a second. But again, think about it. We finally get this news that we wanted, and it's like the Chris Getz hire. It immediately gets ruined, with who potentially could be the next guy. We all thought, hey, Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn, they're fired. And we got to enjoy that for 12 hours before it was, well, they're going to be replaced by Chris Getz. And again, the possible relocation of the team is one of three reasons you don't want Dave Stewart buying the team. However, I don't want to undercut the historical significance of Stewart being the lead of an ownership group, as it would make him the first black majority owner of an MLB team. And that would be momentous. It would be huge. And I don't care what your politics are. And if you disagree with me, fine. I'm on the camp that diversification is a good thing. It's time to get rid of some of these stodgy old guard owners. Okay. I'm fine with it. And side note, I loved watching Dave Stewart as a kid. I loved watching him pitch. He was amazing to watch on the mound. I remember being 7, 8 years old watching him, pitch against the White Sox on TV, because I could never get to go to an Oakland A's Sox game because that was the ticket as part of my dad's ticket package group that everybody wanted. But he was he was amazing. He was just an imposing presence. And those late 80s, early 90s A's teams, obviously 1990, they got in the way of the Sox making the playoffs, but man, they were fun to watch, especially in 89 when the Sox were just so bad. They just had star power, McGuire and Jose Canseco and Ricky Henderson, and Dave Stewart was just amazing. Sorry for Gen Z, for generation explaining there, Gen Z. But anyways, the relocation speculation comes from Stewart ties to trying to bring an expansion team to Nashville. Jim Margulis of SoxMachine.com, he is a Nashville resident too, who has done a great job reporting on the Sox links to Nashville. Has a great write-up on SoxMachine.com detailing this that you got to read. But he details how Stewart was part of a group that tried to buy the Marlins. When that failed, he pivoted to joining a group trying to bring baseball to the Music City. He did split with that group over what Jim Margulis cites in the piece. He took this from the Tennessean, he links to it. Stewart added that he has the financial backing to privately fund the $3.5 billion plus it would likely take to do so, something Music City Baseball does not have. Side note, that was the group that he was originally part of, and then he has split. But here's a quote. I put people in front of Music City Baseball who were capable of doing what needed to be done financially, Stewart told the Tennessean. They questioned me and who my people were. Quite frankly, it was insulting, end quote. So right there, first of all, I wouldn't doubt Stewart's ties to deep-pocketed backers, as the man was a successful sports agent for a time. And you tend to build a vast network of movers and shakers, okay, in that business. So I wouldn't question who he's found to finance him. And again, the guy knows people. You're talking about one of the stars of the late 80s and 90s. And if you're like me, yeah, you would know who Dave Stewart was. And if you had a lot of money, yeah, Dave Stewart. I mean, I honestly, right now thinking about Dave Stewart, the kid in me is like, I would be starstruck. I mean, he was, those 80s A's were just, they were superstars. Next to the White Sox, that was the team that I believe. I mean, again, I'm going back to my childhood here, but that was the team I was in awe of. All right. But I would not rule out his ambition to own a club. First, he tries to, become the ownership group of the Marlins that lost out to Derek Jeter's group. Now Nashville. And he was even part of a group trying to buy half of the Oakland Coliseum with the idea of getting a new park for the A's. And now that they're gone, you're connecting the dots here. Might he want to put a team back in his hometown of Oakland, where he became a pitching legend? Also, the dots being connected is Stewart just wants to be an owner. So he could be just pursuing this to be an owner of the Sox and just keep them on the South Side. And it's very attractive to keep the Sox in Chicago that I'll discuss later. But if that happens, he's still not the ideal guy you want running a team. You don't want him being the final voice, because he was a disaster in Arizona where he was the GM under this weird setup where Tony La Russa was the CEO. Either way, that dynamic was hot garbage, dumpster fire. Google his time there. You'll get write-ups of like the top 5 worst moves he made, and there are some doozies. His running was as azsnakepit.com, part of the SB Nation, and the link is in Jim's piece on soxmachine.com. This is what Jim McClellan wrote in 2016. Going into the 2015 season, the D-backs were in a bad spot, but had a chance to make a quick turnaround. They were coming off a 64-98 season, but had a farm system ranked 6th best in the majors by Baseball America, with half a dozen names listed in the top 100 prospects, and were about to add to it with the number 1 overall pick in the June draft. They had just signed a new TV deal with Fox Sports Arizona with a total value of $1.5 billion, including an equity stake in the network, which was expected to finance a payroll that would be capable of competing with the Giants and Dodgers. 2 years later, the team is barely any better. The farm system has been stripped to the point some now it rates dead last without a single D-back in MLB's.com's top 100 prospects. This season, $43.5 million, over 40% of the current payroll, which really has not increased despite the TV deal, is committed to Zach Greinke and Yasmani Tomas, who combined for less than 2 B-WAR last year. The team has been unable to take part in the international market due to blowing past their limit by signing Yohan Lopez, who looks like a bust. And that number 1 overall pick was dealt away in a deal for a pitcher who spent so long down in the minors. 2016 basically didn't count on his contract. Oh boy. Again, huge mess in Arizona. Now, maybe Stewart will be hands off. And also, he should be well enough connected to bring in someone more qualified to run the baseball operations than Chris Getz. But still, if the guy's wanting to front an ownership group who with former experience of running a team, you got to think it's going to be really hard for him to say, hands off. And the third problem with him is he's close to shadow GM Tony La Russa. And that could mean Tony is going nowhere. Because if you get rid, if Jerry sells the team to anybody else, you got to think they're getting rid of Tony La Russa. I don't care if he has the Hall of Fame credentials. The game has passed him by. You do not want him anywhere near an organization unless it's like, hey, Tony, I need you to do, go look at this fringe prospect we're thinking about trading for. Can you tell me what, how the ball sounds coming off his bat? Fine. If you want those little details, okay. And it's also a jump to conclusions, Matt, here, that Tony's behind the scenes manipulating this, running these things. It's also why some just believe this news is a ploy to leverage the state and the city to get a new stadium. And I want to discuss why that is part of 2 more drawbacks to this news next on Locked On White Sox. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars awarded in winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. And when your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, and Indiana. So let's see. Fun, simple concept with a chance to double my money if my picks hit. And I can get my money quickly and use it pretty much in any state in the Midwest. Sign me up and sign up today, and you get $50 instantly when you play your first $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineup. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Welcome back to Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter. Again, make sure to hit the like button on today's episode and subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox if you've not done so already. And if you can't catch the show on YouTube, Locked On White Sox is available on all major podcast platforms. So make sure to follow or subscribe on places such as Apple and Spotify. Either way, get your 30-minute fix of Chicago White Sox baseball venting with me. All right. I got a piece on SouthsideShowdown.com listing out 4 drawbacks to the news of Jerry Reinsdorf potentially selling the team. And pretty much I discussed the first 2 drawbacks, and that is the speculation of the White Sox going to Nashville or Oakland if Dave Stewart buys the team. But remember, it wouldn't happen like tomorrow. Like, say, even if in the fast-paced world, Stewart closes the deal, he closes the deal and then gets the approval of MLB. It's not like he's going to just up and move, the Sox to Oakland for the 2025 season. They've got a lease through 2029. The other drawback, obviously, is Stewart being bad at running a team. And I'm going to have Josh Nelson of SoxMachine.com on next week to talk about this potential relocation and all the speculation and such. I'm also trying to effort Jim Margulis. Please, Jim, return my emails. I sound desperate, but man, I would love to talk baseball with him too. But, I'm trying to get as many guests. Sean Anderson, I'm trying to get him from CHGO to talk about this. I'm just trying to line up as much information as I can for you. But the other 2 drawbacks are, this is just a ploy by Jerry in his attempt to get taxpayers to foot the majority of the bill for his new stadium project at the 78. And that brings the second drawback, and as I said, like, it's a ploy. That's why I've listed it. I think I listed actually 3rd on Southside Showdown, but either way, thinking about this, the 4th drawback that I have is, if it's not just a ploy, maybe Jerry isn't going anywhere. Maybe this is just nothing. This is a nothing burger, and we have to wait around until the Grim Reaper comes knocking on the door to get a new owner. And that is sad that an 88-year-old man needs to die for things to get better. And it's also sad that us White Sox fans and the local media have come to know there's always a catch with Jerry. There's always something worse about to happen when it comes to any news around Jerry Reinsdorf. And I love this line written in today's Sun-Times by Seth Greenberg. But also there's this, because there's always this. Is this nothing more than a tired old tactic by Reinsdorf to get everything he wants? A new stadium built with public money to stay in Chicago and spend his dotage watching the value of the Sox continue to grow? Yeah, that's been, I've gotten some emails from listeners. You see it on social media that this is just a new play that Jerry's running in his playbook of getting taxpayers to fit the bill. The threat of relocation is nothing new to this franchise. It's nothing new in team history. It's been a while, but it's nothing new. The team almost moved to Milwaukee in the 70s before Bill Veeck swooped in the 11th hour and bought the club back from the Allens. There was talk of the DeBartolo family buying the Sox from Bill and moving the club before, Bill decided to infamously now sell the team to Jerry. The DeBartolos, by the way, went on to win Super Bowls as owner of the 49ers. Obviously, Jerry nearly moved the team to Tampa. It's one of the reasons why Tropicana Field was built in St. Pete. And as news says, it's, the hurricane ripped off the roof. It's not going to be ready before opening day, but that's the reason why that dome was built in the first place. Jerry was going to move the team to Tampa before an 11th hour deal made in Springfield got him his new Comiskey Park completely funded by the taxpayers. But with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and the state legislature now refusing to budge on more bonds being issued by the Illinois Sports Authority to cover almost all the estimated $1.9 billion to build a new stadium on the 78, this could be Jerry's new idea to leverage relocation as a way to get what he wants. It's just a creative way. I'm not the one that's going to threaten to, relocate this. I mean, think about the conspiracy. Hey, guys, I'm not the one that's going to potentially move the team. I got this deal from Dave Stewart. It's on the table. And since, I'm not getting any money from you, I'm not getting my $1.7 billion that I'm looking at because I'm only willing to put up a fraction of the cost of $200 million. It's not me doing it. I'm a businessman. This is the market. I'm going to sell the team to Dave Stewart. And it would be a shame for me to sign on the dotted line and the Sox just leave Chicago, but I can keep them here if you pony up the $1.7 billion while I cover the $200 million. And think about it too, that Jerry just thinks, well, just let's issue more debt from the Illinois State's, the Illinois Sports Facility Authority. That's what he thinks. Issue more debt, and it'll be covered by that hotel tax, completely ignoring that the hotel tax, especially during the pandemic, barely covers and doesn't cover enough. You need people then to be staying in these hotels, and if they're not staying in the hotels, guess who has to foot the rest of the bill? The taxpayers. And again, these ideas that, it's going to bring this economic impact, I do think that there is some validity to that, but it's nowhere near what teams promise. And again, $200 million, when you got teams left and right now, either financing their stadiums fully or creating a public-private partnership, like at least a 50-50 deal. Jerry's over here, offering to give you maybe half because just let's issue more bonds. Let them eat cake. I mean, man, must be nice to be that rich to just think, just issue more bonds. It'll be fine. You got this tax that out-of-towners are paying. Not realizing, again, if the hotels are not filling up, there has been issues of that. Somebody else has to pay for it. The taxpayers. And also, who's to say he's not just going to be, maybe he is tired of owning the team. So he's just going to pass this off to a guy like Stewart, who has definitely the boogeyman of relocation ties to him. He has had ties to the Nashville market of getting a team there. He is a favored son of Oakland. I mean, imagine him being a hero if he brought baseball back to Oakland. And again, the conspiracy dots, they line up in terms of, hey, Tony Stewart, Dave Stewart is very close to Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa is very close to Jerry. That's where you get this, hey, we think it's a ploy. Although 670 The Score's host Lawrence Holmes, he was on the air yesterday when the news broke. And when he was on the air, he got some he started firing off text messages, and he got some responses while on the air from two sources. He shared that on the air. The video is on 670 The Score on Twitter. You can also go to their Odyssey app to listen back. But he shares what he got, and basically the two sources pretty much downplayed the news, saying that it's, this doesn't seem in Jerry's character. He even said, one of his sources said, this doesn't sound like the plan that's been laid out. So this leak could just be nothing more than a trial balloon. Or it could just be nothing. Or maybe Britt's source completely got the conversation. Maybe, Dave and Jerry did meet, but maybe it was on its face Dave asking, hey, Jerry, how do I get, how do I get the team, get a team to Nashville? Maybe it was Dave lobbying for Nashville, for expansion. I'm just saying, there's always something to it with Jerry. But, this could be a nothing burger. And once again, it means you and I can't have nice things as a White Sox fan. We just can't. And imagine if Jerry lives 10 more years, because he keeps saying he hopes to live 10 more years. And even though he's not in control, Imagine if that's granted. We got to have 10 more years of this guy. I mean, Jerry's been a terrible owner outside of 2005 and signing Albert Bell to that $55 million deal in 1996. Although he could just be tired of owning the team. I mean, this 121 loss season might have finally broke him. And he could have finally had enough of the Chicago Sports Network drama. The stadium financing hopes getting dashed. Maybe all these changes that Chris Getz is wanting to make, is forcing Jerry to think, I want nothing to do with baseball anymore. And, if it's going that way, I'm just done with that. I mean, the Poland family's pulling out and the Twins, maybe he read that news and was like, you know what? I'm done with this. Although it would be the biggest middle finger to the fans that keep chanting sell the team to sell it to Dave Stewart. Also, it would be a heck of a turnabout for a man who said last year owning a baseball team gives him something to do. So the two drawbacks, 4 drawbacks. Possible relocation. If Dave Stewart decides to even buy the team and is the winning bidder, stays in Chicago and turns out to be just as worse as Jerry because there's a track record of that. Number 3, this is just a ploy. This is nothing. Meaning this is just a ploy. This is another playbook that Jerry's running to try to get taxpayer money. And number 4, again, this is nothing, and Jerry's going to stay the owner. Those worried that Stewart is the only bidder probably should not. I want to discuss John Greenberg's piece in The Athletic that outlines why you should not get too worried about Stewart's pursuit of buying the club next on Locked On White Sox. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis, and their Generex for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Welcome back to Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter. Again, shout out to all my everydayers. Appreciate your loyalty. Please hit the like button on today's episode. Recommend to your fellow White Sox fans or baseball fan friends to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox or wherever they get their podcast, as the show is available on all major platforms. And again, really enjoying talking to actually fans who aren't White Sox fans. And you could say, well, Todd, want to appeal to everybody here. I love talking baseball. So feel free to email me at lockedonwhitesox@gmail.com. A couple of people that have been emailing me, because I'm starting to get them in. I'm trying to build that up. We're trying to build this. Show went on hiatus. We had some great hosts, obviously, but then when the show went on hiatus, we had to rebuild. So obviously, tell your baseball fans friends, your White Sox fans friends who have maybe checked out on the team, hey, this is the place to go. If you just want to check in occasionally, and also if you want to hear some venting, because you probably need some venting. And I swear I'm not that much of a negative person. I do generally try to be positive, but man, the White Sox will do that to you. All right, so I'll admit the moment I read Britt Ghiroli's report on Jerry selling the team and Dave Stewart being the bidder, my heart sank. I was like, great. What I've always said, maybe a 5% chance of happening, the Sox moving, might actually happen. It's actually possibly in play. Now, I'm in the camp of being, it is stupid to leave the third biggest market in America, even if you share it with the more popular Cubs, especially to go to the 27th market. And everydayers have heard my reasons why. I've had Rob Hart from WBBM on the show to explain it too. And granted, Nashville is growing, but it is 1.16 million household market. Chicago alone has 600,000 households without streaming or cable. It's the reason why CHSN is over the air, even though nobody wants to use rabbit ears. But I'm just giving you the numbers for that. Nearly half of Nashville's market, or Chicago has nearly half of Nashville's market that just alone doesn't have access to cable or streaming that the team is trying to tap into. Just saying more people to draw from so long as you have a good team. And also, I'm just saying this. If you have a good team and, I don't know, stop acting like you're inferior to the Cubs. Stop acting like a little brother. Stop being jealous of the Cubs. If you just put out a good product, you can compete with the Cubs for fans. You can thrive and succeed in Chicago. Just put out a good product. And if you can't get the shiny new stadium, start developing around the ballpark. I know fans love the tailgating, but they might also love Bill Comiskeyville. You got a lot of empty lots around there. Do what you're doing around the United Center, too. Build Comiskeyville, and boom, you're rivaling Wrigleyville. If you build it, they will come. And John Greenberg also has a great column in The Athletic outlining why moving the team will not be so easy. And here's what he writes. With Stewart threatened to move the team, it wouldn't be that easy. Though the A's are finally gone, it comes after years and years of issues between the team, state, and city. And to be clear, the A's are to blame. MLB doesn't want another fiasco like that. I imagine MLB would like to keep Chicago as a two-town team, and Nashville is no sure thing to land a big league team. Also, then, Greenberg excellently points out, don't expect Jerry to just sell to Stewart because both are close to Tony La Russa. I mean, Jerry's a businessman, and he's going to sell to the highest bidder. This is what he writes. Reinsdorf reportedly owns 19% of the team, though he also said that no one knows his true stake. His sons, Michael and Jonathan, were active in buying up minority shares in 2021, and they offered a much lower valuation on the shares than the supposed market price. But some longtime investors took the offer to get the cash in hand. Don't be surprised if local investors, including minority partners, are approached to buy Reinsdorf shares as well. I've heard rumblings about that scenario already occurring. Glencoe businessman Andrew Berlin, who has owned stakes in the Chicago Cubs and White Sox, would be a promising candidate to join Stewart's group and lead one of his own. So would Winnebago's Justin Ishiba, who co-owns the Phoenix Suns with his brother Matt. And if the Ishiba family buys the Sox, at least you have a chance to have a competitive team. They've been taking some huge swings to try to win a title in Phoenix. However, owning an NBA team is much more attractive since they have a better national TV deal, better commissioner who actually has made his labor force partners in the league's success to where the NBA can have a huge national TV deal and they can better weather the RSN storm better than, say, MLB in the NHL. But still, guys like Steve Cohen just bought into baseball. And you can bet there's some rich folks wanting to buy a vanity investment like a pro sports team. And ultimately, that is what I want from the next owner. Someone who's not looking at this like an investment portfolio. One of my biggest gripes about baseball owners, and the Players Union is pointing this out excellently. They need to do a better job, but they have pointed out, is a lot of these owners are treating this owning a team like an investment portfolio. And you can't. You just can't, because sports business is not like any other business. You don't get accolades for a great balance sheet in sports. And also, you own a public trust. I'm sorry, that's what it is. You own a public trust. I want someone who understands that success is defined by actual winning on the field. You get a trophy if you actually win the postseason. And that means you got to win in the regular season. Put a winning product out there. And also, commitment resources to winning, making money takes care of itself. Ask the Yankees, ask the Dodgers, ask the Braves. They seem to be doing just fine. Also, I want an owner who actually understands, again, it's an entity that other people love and cling to. Be respectful of that. People do use being a fan of a team as part of their identity, or just using sports to escape for a few hours, or just using sports to be entertained. And they want a good product. And those people are owed a good product, not something that helps one rich individual or a group of individuals make massive prospects. But if you marry the two ideals together that I just described, guess what? As an owner, you can have your cake and eat it too. Well, that wraps up this edition of Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every aspect of the playoff picture. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I'll be back tomorrow to discuss, hey, if the team didn't move, would you still be a fan of the White Sox? And plus, I know I was going to discuss power ranking the known manager candidates today, but since the Jerry news broke, I'm going to push that to tomorrow's show. Feel free to leave comments about today's discussion regarding the news about Jerry Reinsdorf potentially selling the team to Dave Stewart. You can leave them at the episode page on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, at ToddJDub or at Locked On Sox, or you can email me at LockedOnWhiteSox@gmail.com. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.